The Door of Light is an excerpt of the book Simplicity and Complexity and written by Carlos Pacheco, www.diaryofthoughts.com. The Door of Light. I fell asleep and dreamt of two dimensions of time that had crossed in opposite directions. It was in the middle of that path that our segment of time had been born, where we had been living, and without noticing that time doesn't have either beginning or end. We didn't understand that time doesn't have time to exist, but simply its way along the universal movement. We ignored that there were several dimensions of time which transcend the tiny segment of time that was reserved for our existence. I dreamt that we began to get old the moment we started the countdown of time, without being able to identify the two streams of time toward the past and time toward the future. Our segment of time was nothing else than the present, and we were caught in this temporal dimension. We were surviving in our segment of time, having the feeling that we were fighting against it, against the moment when we would reach our final moment, and convinced that we had spent all the time of our existence, while the latter was extended to the universal time. We had the perception that at an unknown point of our segment of time, there would be a door to the universal time. Deep inside of us, in our subconscious, there were the images and memories of that door of light we had passed through, without being aware that we shall cross it again and again. In that dream, I realized that we were all afraid. However, we only asked to be able to cross that door without suffering, without fears and doubts, all the elements that had contributed to the decay of our values and principles as human beings. Yes, it was that incomprehension, that fear of the apparent final moment, that had caused all the excesses, originated phobias of power and greed. They caused wars and genocides in the name of religion, politics, and multiple false values, creating false prophets and demagogues, finally dragging the whole humanity into a state of total disbelief over our origin. In the dream, I saw human beings marching, walking into the abyss of disbelief about their existence, abandoning their values of compassion, friendship, kindness, and love for the sake of the so-called evolution of science and progress. I dazzled images where mankind, in which human warmth had been replaced by a telephone screen, where everyone started to interpret their existence as a result of computer programming. All they had to do was to touch a button to live. It was no longer necessary to use their intelligence, the one brought to us by creation itself. I dreamt that suddenly, that door of light opened, and out of it came an entity that enlightened humanity. I dreamt that, at that moment in time, our segment of time became a whole, ceased to exist, and humanity began to smile. Carlos Pacheco, Luxembourg, the 23rd November 2017. The Door of Light is an excerpt of the book Simplicity and Complexity and written by Carlos Pacheco, www.diaryofthoughts.com. Carlos Miguel Pacheco was born on the outskirts of Lisbon, Portugal, EU, in a town called Queluz. Son of Rui de Souza Pacheco and Isabel Maria Pacheco, he reached secondary school and stopped his studies to follow a professional career related to organization and methods, along with accounting. He married his late wife, Maria Eduarda Pacheco, on the 3rd July 1971. He joined the Army from October 1972 until April 1975, and he was classified first on military messaging services. At the age of 38, he immigrated to Luxembourg as a result of a contractual agreement after he accomplished professional missions in Switzerland and France. At 60 years old, as an autodidact, he decided to put in writing all his thoughts, expressing the best way he could all his inner values, beliefs, and convictions, hoping that they would be captured and understood by some people as a message of spirituality, along with notions about love and friendship. His works reunite the Diary of Thoughts, Volumes 1 and 2, the Diary of Thoughts poems, Simplicity and Complexity, and the epic Portuguese novel Dreams Lost in Time. He also produced the joint venture, the Diary of Thoughts poems, the audiobooks with the prominent narrator from New York, Hank Bukima. Hank reads a great part of the poems included in the Diary of Thoughts books, written by Carlos Pacheco. This project involved their dedication and several months of hard work to achieve a 6-hour 4-set audiobook collection. Carlos' works are present at Luxembourg's National Library. and also at Mersch Cultural Center for free reading. The author makes also part of the National Dictionary of Luxembourg's Authors.